Pre-pandemic, Spokane was really on the cusp of achieving and realizing everything we'd worked for decades. Downtown was booming, our unemployment rate was low, our housing prices were still affordable. We were able to attract businesses to town. It was heartbreaking to watch what happened as COVID hit. People then lost their jobs and our downtown became really a ghost town. In March 2020, federal government passed a $2.2 trillion federal stimulus bill, and Spokane County received a direct allocation of over $91 million. Over the next 9 months, the county then sought input from the public service providers and the business community in order to make sure we allocated funding to those who needed it the most. Absolutely recognizing that this is a public health emergency, the number one priority for the county was making sure that our public health district was fully funded.
We had to flex up significantly as an organization because we had to amplify our capabilities. So we had to add not only resources locally, but we even had some contracted services to help us with contact tracing and disease investigation, because we had to go from a handful to several hundred people in a matter of weeks. From the recovery perspective, the CARES funding was the most significant piece of funding. Without that, we wouldn't have been able to really expand our services to the extent that we did and have the reach that we've had in the community. We saved lives. There's no question in my mind that we actually did.
In order to address our food insecurity needs and those that were dealing with barriers to accessing food nutrition, we enlisted the help of Second Harvest to help the county get the food out and also to address those barriers of transportation.
The thing that was really, both rewarding and heartbreaking was how many people, they'd never been to a food bank in their life. And all of a sudden they had to say, I can't feed my family, I need help. I've never done this before. Then as we got a little bit deeper into it, it was clear that the need was going to be huge and that we were going to need some real money to go out and just find enough food to help everybody. It wasn't long before we had $9 million to buy food. If we didn't have that purchase power that we got from the CARES grant, I don't see how we could have done the response without it. We bought 6 million pounds of food.
In order to be able to support the efforts to keep our homeless population safe and also to provide a safe environment for those that are providing those services, Spokane County partnered with the City of Spokane and allocated some of our CARES dollars to enhance the facilities that we were using, also engage an additional facility, and also to make sure that we had a safe environment for those that were needing the assistance.
The CARES money from the county, nearly $3 million, made a huge impact on how we address homelessness because we were able to use those funds to purchase and refurbish facilities that we could then meet our goal of offering 24/7 sheltering, wraparound services, and bridge housing.
A high priority for us to make sure that consistently across the board, all of our businesses had access to masks, hand sanitizer, anything that they needed to make sure that environment was safe. So we purchased all of that equipment and product, and then we also ran distributions, 4 of them throughout the year to make sure businesses had access to it. We opened it up to all our nonprofits as well.
Open Together was a $10 million program that was to benefit both Spokane County small businesses and Spokane County nonprofits. Grants were allotted up to $10,000. If you were a sole proprietor, $2,500 was the cap on the program then. And we had some metrics that we built internally to help us identify what level of funding a business would qualify for.
The Spokane County CARES dollars provided the stability to our nonprofits at a time of uncertainty. It was critical support when they didn't know when there would be dollars coming in the door. Over $2 million was awarded. These funds were used to support fixed expenses for organizations, whether it's paying the rent, providing support for salaries for employees, providing program support. So many of our nonprofits, as they were serving the community, had to learn how to serve the community in a new and safer way. And so often they were just simply trying to figure out how do they keep their staff safe and how do they keep the community safe as they provide those services. been just an incredible opportunity to work with our county commissioners. Appreciate that they brought leadership not only to the city, but that they didn't forget the rural parts of the county.
Many of those businesses used those funds towards their basic rent, utility needs, and a number of them also used those dollars towards things like their personal protective equipment, some of just the basic operations that they needed to be able to survive during a time that was so uncertain for those small business owners. Those dollars really came behind them to help them just maintain their business. The relief that we've been able to provide during the pandemic is really about helping to retain the employers that we have here in our community and their employees, and that's fundamental to economic development. And so I see a lot of opportunity to build off of that as we move forward.
Spokane County additionally helped fund our school districts. And everybody was doing what they had to make sure that our kids and families had what they need to be successful.
So beginning in right after, I think it was like March 17th, all of our students were to learn from home. So we had never done anything like that in the history really of public education in the US. It took several weeks for us to start hitting any kind of a stride when it came to providing any kind of education for our students last spring. We wanted to be able to provide quality education to all of our students, regardless of whether their parents chose to keep them at home for remote learning or they were coming in for face-to-face instruction. There's no way we could have done that well without CARES dollars, quite frankly.
So managing and allocating out over $91 million is no small feat. It was pretty amazing to watch, actually.
The commissioner's willingness to sit down with us as economic development agencies and really lean into our expertise and our skill sets that our organizations could provide in that moment in time. I truly think we came up with some really great solutions for this community.
It was just wonderful to see our nonprofit community come together in partnership with the county through the CARES program, and that together they were able to serve the community in need.
Looking forward in the Meade School District, we're very hopeful. We couldn't be more pleased and more proud of the teamwork, county support, the parents, the staff, and everybody working together to educate our kids safely. And so we've proven that we could do that during the hardest of times.
I would say that the silver lining in this pandemic has really been the collaboration that we've been able to do regionally. First, to respond to the pandemic, but then it has set the framework, and we've moved forward to keep that framework in place to address other issues regionally. Homelessness, certainly one of them during the pandemic and after the pandemic, as well as I anticipate other issues like housing and economic development, recovery and building on what we've been able to do. So it's a great time to work with our regional partners.
But it was the way that we spent our money that I am truly proud of what Spokane County did as we came together with other organizations to spend those dollars.